too orange.
Cannibalism is not uncommon throughout history. It has occurred in many different cultures for many different reasons. But does it still seem violent, desperate, or sick? Would you be surprised to hear cannibalism can be seen as positive or beneficial, even a demonstration of loyalty or love? Different cultures have practiced medical cannibalism, eating human flesh to get well.
15th century Europeans believed they had hit upon a miracle cure, a remedy for epilepsy, hemorrhage, bruising, nausea, and virtually any other medical ailment. This brown powder could be mixed into drinks, made into salves, or eaten straight up. It was known as mummia, and made by grinding up mummified human flesh. Starting in the 15th century, the demand for mummia increased. At first, stolen mummies from Egypt supplied the mummia craze, but soon the demand was too great to be sustained on Egyptian mummies alone, and opportunists stole bodies from European cemeteries to turn into mummia. Use of mummia continued for hundreds of years. It was listed in the Merck Index, a popular medical encyclopedia, into the 20th century. And ground-up mummies were far from the only remedy made from human flesh that was common throughout Europe. Blood, in either liquid or powdered form, was used to treat epilepsy, while human liver, gallstones, oil distilled from human brains, and pulverized hearts were popular medical concoctions.
The Benkao Shiyi, an influential medical reference book published in China in the early 8th century, considered the consumption of human flesh to be an effective medical treatment. Notable here was the practice of filial cannibalism, where family members would voluntarily, or occasionally involuntarily, offer up a part or all of their body to cure ailing elderly relatives. The official histories document over 100 cases where family members, typically daughters-in-law, cut off a slice of their upper arm or upper thigh to be mixed with soup or gruel and offered to the ill patient. But medical cannibalism isn't a relic of an ancient dynasty. It's actually having a moment right now.
In case you're not sure, yes, that is a placenta. The organ's delivered shortly after a baby is born and usually thrown away. But as you may have heard, some women are asking to put their placenta on ice so they can eat it.
My mom was like, what? Because I forgot to give her the heads up. And then after explaining it to her, she was kind of like, okay, like, do what you have to do to, keep a healthy mind and whatnot.
While celebrities have talked and written about eating it raw, Samantha Aziz hired Susan Stewart to cook, blend, and dehydrate her placenta into pills. Stewart isn't a medical professional, but believes the organ can help women with postpartum depression.
So sometimes cannibalism is associated with birth, but it can also be associated with death.
Anthropophagy has been part of mourning and funeral rituals in different cultures, but is thought to have been more widely practiced in lowland South America than anywhere else in the world. Anthropologist Beth Conklin lived among the Wari of Brazil and collected their personal experiences with endocannibalism in the 1980s. Wari had experienced first contact with wider Brazil in the 1960s, after which the practice began to die out. But at the time of her research, many living Wari could remember and reflect upon their experiences of eating the deceased. After a person died, their body would be dismembered, cooked, and some parts of it would be eaten by non-kin members of their community. Based on their testimony, Conklin interpreted this as a service done both for the dead and close family. Two of her key findings. First, mortuary anthropophagy was a way to keep the bodies of family members close. Even after death, to Wari the body is beloved, and the idea of leaving it cold, alone, and in the ground was highly distressing. Consuming the remains was a way to maintain connection and intimacy. The body was constantly held and embraced, even during dismemberment held by a kinsman, to capture precious fluids and ensure they did not touch the ground. And once the body had been prepared and dispersed, it was eaten with great respect while weeping. Second, the practice reinforced a key belief among the Wari that dead human ancestors could regenerate as peccaries, and offer their bodies to sustain the surviving family and community. The preparing and eating of the dead human body at once freed the spirit from the body to go live in the spirit realm and affirm its future identity in this world as a life-giving prey animal. In these ways, mortuary cannibalism among the Wari could be experienced as a loving and compassionate act of mourning, which strengthens social and reciprocal interspecies bonds.
Moving away from this most heartfelt of anthropophagy, perhaps the most surprising context and purpose for cannibalism is the most quotidian: simple hunger and the desire for nutritious food. Some anthropologists who have published ethnographic material about cannibalism report that the practice may simply be due to everyday appetite. The Oricavia in Papua New Guinea in the 1930s, as reported by government anthropologist Francis Edgar Williams, the Azande in southern Sudan, as reported by Evans Pritchard in the 1950s and 60s, and others, all ostensibly ate other people without affording it any deep cultural significance or elaboration, but simply because other humans taste good and provide nutritious meat.
Some anthropologists have also proposed that even when cannibalism is culturally elaborated, such as in the ancient Aztec, it still fundamentally stems from biological need. Marvin Harris, who argued that human social life is a response to the practical problems of earthly existence, is most famously associated with the protein deficiency hypothesis of cannibalism. He studied food traditions, preferences, and taboos in many cultures and traced these all back to dietary needs. He suggested that cannibalism was a rational response to hunger. In the case of the Aztec, this meant the slaughter and consumption of war captives in the context of religious ceremonies during times of famine. Protein deficiency was a popular, plausible theory for explaining why cannibalism occurred in different times and places, and gained anthropological support, but the theory was also critiqued for being reductive. Yes, individual humans have biological requirements, but they live together in societies that share cultural investments. Cannibalism might meet both these purposes, but dietary needs don't explain the cultural practices of cannibalism in all societies.
Can cannibalism really be as widespread as all that? If you feel skeptical that cannibalism has been this common throughout human history, you are not alone. The idea of a cannibal has long fascinated the human imagination, populating ancient myth and legend. Cannibals played into accounts of explorers and traders during the age of exploration and imperialism, accounts of which assumed a legend-like quality, narrativizing the wonders and dangers of the world and symbolizing encounters with difference.
The word cannibal dates from the time of Christopher Columbus. In fact, Columbus may even have coined it himself. After coming ashore on the island of Guadalupe, Columbus's initial reports back to the Queen of Spain described the indigenous people as friendly and peaceful, though he did mention rumors of a group called the Caribs, who made violent raids and then cooked and ate their prisoners. In response, Queen Isabella granted permission to capture and enslave anyone who ate human flesh.
Cannibalism soon became a metaphor, this time for the wild, savage other, which was used to justify the violent destruction and consumption of lives. In numerous places, and for centuries after Columbus, indigenous people rumored to practice cannibalism were targeted for enslavement, torture, and death, while others were spared. As scholar Maggie Kilgour has said, the figure of cannibalism was created to support the cultural cannibalism of colonialism. This hypocritical dynamic was quickly recognized by some in On Cannibalism, first published in 1580. Michel de Montaigne pointed out that the figure of the cannibal was used to justify horrific Christian violence, as he recognized the dignity and honor of the Tupinamba people of South America whom he encountered and whose endo-cannibalistic mortuary rituals he had studied. I think there is more barbarity, lacerated by rack and torture of bodies still fully able to feel things, as we have seen among our fellow citizens and neighbors, and what is worse, in the name of duty and religion, than in roasting him and eating him after death. His treatise is now recognized by many as one of the earliest texts arguing for a cultural relativism, and rumors of cannibalism went both ways. Numerous violently colonized groups, from Peru to West Africa, feared white colonizers on top of their other brutality, intended to eat them.
This discourse on cannibalism as a metaphor led some later anthropologists to question whether actual cultural cannibalism as a practice outside of sheer survival situations had ever really existed. In his 1980 book, The Man-Eating Myth, while he acknowledged that a belief in cultural cannibalism is universal, anthropologist William Ahrens asserted that basically cannibalism was nothing but a metaphor, and accounts of the practice, even those collected by anthropologists, were based on little more than hearsay and exaggeration. This theory met with heated debate. The anthropological community argued back that culturally learned literal and actual cannibalism was real. But acknowledging the reality of cannibalism among certain groups is not the same as simply capitulating to the way cannibalism has been used in racist discourses on indigeneity.
Sonia, I'll take ramen chicken, starting egg.
Here out, yeah?
Yes.
Ja.
Need big things here, round to the
Hier.
round the flour, stone, cut the head.
Da haben sie die Leute getötet hier, ne? Hier. Jetzt hätte ich vielleicht gern mal ein Bild auch von mir gehabt. Wenn man ein Bild macht, uns beide hier vor dem Stein als Erinnerung.
Na, only come se mi platin in all the country. Na mi play lang no mi play sitan only kisim picture ngo ka something. Turo long fighting kalamut only listen tenta yellow mi play. Inside lang ostambra long kwa only listen tenta yellow mi play. That's long outside long place. Only listen tenta only kisim not picture.
Which hat do I have to take?
Mi platin in all the country. Na mi play long no.
In fact, some anthropologists argued that an anthropological refusal to accept real cannibalism was due to ethnocentric ideas about barbarity and fear of the practice as the ultimate taboo, ideas that have been enacted in some of the most notorious films of all time. But the cannibalism taboo might be culturally relative.
I love bodies. With the Santa Clarita diet, I don't deny myself bodies. I eat bodies every day. Bodies, bodies, bodies. Feet, arms, belly buttons, tushes. That's the genius of this diet. I'm in the best shape of my life, and I have eaten bodies every single day. It's not just a diet, it's a whole new lifestyle.
Contemporary anthropologists still find cannibalism a useful concept. Dutch anthropologist Johanna Verrips argues that the desire for literal cannibalism and anxieties about it may be a deep-seated desire in all humans, even today when the cravings for it are satiated mostly through entertainment. South African anthropologist Francis Nyamnjoh has expanded the meaning of cannibalism beyond the literal to refer to the more general sense of consumption of human matter. This can refer to the support for our literal bodies, whether the humans we consume are served through our palates, injected, inserted as transplants, or grafted onto our bodies, or the way societies feed on the vital energy and life chances of some to support the comfort of others.
Cannibalism has helped form and test the limits of anthropology's tenet of cultural relativism. But the trend in anthropological thinking about cannibalism today leads to a kind of universalism. Whether it's literally eating other humans or metaphorically consuming others to bolster the self, contemporary cannibalism theory sees the human condition as fundamentally incomplete, always hungry, and inescapably dependent on each other for survival, whether we're part of a cosmic cycle of consumption and rebirth, protein in a literal food chain, or victims to a chain of exploitation. As a reflection of our moral sense of self, the concept of the cannibal seems destined to remain with us forever. It's our past, and potentially our future.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. gotta tell him. You gotta tell him.
Promise, Tiger, I promise. I'll tell the exchange.
You tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell him. Silent breed is people!
Cannibalism is not uncommon throughout history. It has occurred in many different cultures for many different reasons. But does it still seem violent, desperate, or sick? Would you be surprised to hear cannibalism can be seen as positive or beneficial, even a demonstration of loyalty or love?
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more, here are some useful resources in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get your regular dose of anthrodorphins.
Any way you see it, the cannibal concept clearly intersects with ideas about kinship, violence, ritual, and feared others. If you'd like to know more about how cannibalism of the dead might compare to other funerary practices, check out our video on rites of passage surrounding death.